Hello, my name is Dr. Eric Landrum from the Department of Psychological Science here at Boise State University, and this is the Fall 2018 screencast for Psych 321, Section 2 of Research Methods. And as you can see on the screen, this is specifically for Section 2, which meets on Mondays and Wednesdays at 12 noon until 1:15 p.m. in ILC 303. And so what this screencast is about is that I'd like to walk you through the syllabus fairly quickly, then we'll switch over to the Blackboard site, and I just kind of want to give you a course overview. And this is going to kind of lay the foundation for the course in that I want to present things to you that you can easily read and review for outside of class time so that we can use our inside of class time to actually be discussing things together, working on things together. In fact, I really want us to use class time to work together, especially to get ahead on homework assignments and things that are coming up. And this is really the philosophy of the flipped classroom that I'll talk to you about more in person as the semester progresses. And so hopefully that you'll catch on to this philosophy and that you'll like the approach, because if you're coming to class and participating, the idea will be that you'll be ahead of the game and you'll know what to do for your homework because you'll have all your questions answered by coming to class. Anyway, let me go ahead and get started. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and kind of walk you through what's in here in the syllabus. You can see the course information, how to get a hold of me via email address. I'm in the education building up on the 6th floor in one of the corners of that building, 619. I don't post office hours there, and there's a reason why. I would rather meet with you when it's convenient for you. So rather than say Friday afternoons from 3 to 7, which might be convenient for me, odds are it's not really convenient for many other students. And so I actually like talking to students. I'll answer your question. I might even ask you about what your career plans are or how your other classes are going. You will figure out that it could be a 5-minute conversation or a 50-minute conversation. Pretty much is going to be what you're comfortable with and what you want to talk about. So please, honestly, do email me and come by and chat, and we'll set something up that's convenient for you and something that I can be around for. You can see the course description. It's there. Actually just copied and pasted right out of the course catalog. As I scroll up here, you can see some course learning outcomes. I'm not going to read these to you. You can read them yourself, but you can see in the left-hand column, really by the end of the course, these are the things that I would like you to be able to do with the knowledge and skills and content that you've learned about in the course. And on the right-hand side of the column, those are the assessment methods that I'm going to use throughout the course to actually figure out whether or not you and I have achieved these goals together. And so you should read through that at your leisure. Again, I don't think there's any real reason for me to read those to you. You've got those. You can download the syllabus as a PDF from the Blackboard website. I will show you that when we flip over to Blackboard here in just a couple of minutes. So there are a couple of required materials and there's one recommended. And so you can go to the bookstore, you can go to Amazon.com, you can rent it, you can buy it, you can get it used or new. I highly recommend this textbook. It's the 3rd edition of Beth Morling's Research Methods textbook, Research Methods in Psychology, Evaluating a World of Information. This is an awesome textbook. This is a new edition. I've really been enjoying reading it. I will be giving you really, they're called readiness assurance items. They're little quiz items that we'll be doing using Poll Everywhere software, kind of a clicker type of approach. You're going to see here pretty quickly there's no big tests or quizzes per se in this class, but I will be expecting you to read out of this book. More importantly, I'll be expecting you to learn out of this book, because the more you use this book, the better in this class you will do, because you'll really understand what we're doing. So, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot throughout the course. Whether you're a psychology workplace graduate, that is, you're going to go get a good job with your bachelor's degree, or whether you're planning on going to graduate school and then going into the workforce with a master's or a doctorate in psychology, you're going to have skills and abilities that you're going to want to be able to apply. And so we're going to practice those skills and abilities in this class. And research methods really are the foundation for both of those routes. And so We're gonna utilize this book to the best of our ability. We're also going to be engaging in technology pretty much. I'm not going to say every class period, but we're going to be relying on it heavily. So I want you to bring a web-enabled device. It could be a smartphone, it could be a laptop, it could be a tablet, an iPad. It could even be a phone that has texting capability. You're going to be using software called Pull Everywhere. You're not going to be paying any money for it. I've paid the money for it so that you can use it for free. You don't need to go out and buy a piece of hardware. You should be able to use existing software. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the syllabus. I do highly recommend, although I'm not going to require, the APA publication manual. There are other books out there. There are many of them. I've actually written a couple of them that will help you with APA style and format. If you'd rather use those, that's okay. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't require a specific book, because there are so many options. But APA style is tricky, and there's lots of rules. I'm going to walk you through some of those rules. I have all kinds of handouts. I have YouTube videos. Actually, the back of this syllabus is going to have a lot of details about how to write the paper you're going to be writing in this class. But I do recommend this. And this is, by the way, one of these books that if you buy this one, hang on to it, because you're going to have a number of other classes throughout the psychology major where you're going to be using this one. So you might as well hang on to it. Otherwise, you're going to buy it, then you're going to sell it back for half, and then you're going to buy it again as a used book. And you're gonna keep taking a loss every time you buy it back. So, class requirements. Here we go. I'm going to scroll up and make it a little bit clearer. You are cordially invited. There it is, a cordial invitation to attend all class sessions. I really do believe that missing a single class session may mean that you miss out on practicing and applying concepts from your readings, your YouTube lectures, to relevant topics. What you're going to figure out really quickly here is that I don't have the normal type of bait that an instructor has to get you to come to class. That is, I'm not going to give you a test. I'm not going to lecture per se because you've got a test in 2 weeks. And so I have to design class in such a way to make it meaningful and valuable to lure you to class. And so you'll see how I'm going to do that this semester by trying to connect it to your homework and trying to connect it directly to success and using our time wisely together in class. And so doing homework in class is going to be a really common theme. So using our time wisely. And you'll see how that goes as the semester gets launched. And so I've already talked a little bit there about mobile technologies. Please bring it to class. You're gonna see some other things I'm talking about there. No notes are available concerning class sessions. You're going to find out that I really try not to lecture as in delivering content. All that's going to be available on YouTube. So if you miss it, you can just watch it. If I go too fast, you can just replay it. It's all there. You cannot make up missed Pull Everywhere points. So there's a strategy built in that everybody can miss a few classes and it's not going to hurt you. If you miss chronically, if you miss 3 or 4 weeks of class, that is going to hurt your grade. But if you end up missing 2 or 3 class sessions, that's not going to hurt you. If you forget your device, you can't earn points that day, but that's okay. Everybody forgets once in a while. It's if you forget for 4 weeks, that is going to hurt your grade in the class. So you can't make up missed Pull Everywhere points. You are responsible for the timely completion of all work regardless of attendance. If you had the course late, you are still responsible for all work. Now I get to the underline point. And if we get a chance someday later in the semester, ask me about these because there's really a story about all of them. That's how some professors' syllabus gets longer and longer, because the longer they teach, the more interesting events happen, and they keep adding these lines like this. As a courtesy to your classmates and to your instructor, please turn the ringer off on your cell phone or any other device that makes noise. Please use technology wisely and minimize distraction of others when you do utilize technology. No animals are allowed in the classroom without prior instructor consent. Again, ask me about those stories someday and I'd be happy to tell you. All right, so let's just do a quick overview of the assignments. Again, you can ask me about these in class anytime. I just want to kind of give you a quick overview, and hopefully you get a chance to watch this video before you come to class on Monday. And if not, that's okay, because this video will be available to you all semester long. So if you have to watch it later the first week of class, that's okay. So I've already mentioned Poll Everywhere. It's a piece of software. You're going to get participation points. Sometimes you're going to be factual questions based on the readings or the YouTube video. You can see the details there. And so I've got it built in that I'm going to ask you at least 180 chances to earn up to 150 points maximum. And usually in semesters, it's like 210, 220 points. And so what I'm trying to tell you is if you're going to miss class occasionally, don't panic. You're on a sports team, you're in the band, your work calls you in unexpectedly a few times, you get sick. These things happen to all of us. You have to travel for work. These things happen to all of us during a semester. And so a little bit of that is built in and you don't have to worry about it. If it's chronic, then it becomes a problem. And so then that's the kind of thing where you should probably come and talk privately with me. I will walk you through the Poll EV app. If you're really good at technology, you want to go for it before you get to class. I've got the details there. There's a URL, or you can see the shortened URL. It's a bit.ly, bit.ly. You can just type that in. It's case sensitive, so you want to make sure that you follow that. There's going to be some online ethics training when we get closer to the deadline for that. All the instructions on how to register for a free account are there. It could take you up to 2 hours. You don't have to do that in one sitting. It's all free to you, but do note the note at the bottom, if in bold, if you failed to complete this assignment, you will fail the course. And so one thing about research methods and ethics, we take it incredibly seriously. You will be collecting data from human participants who are in the Psych 101 course. And so we have to make sure that you're trained ethically and responsibly. So we take that very seriously. You'll be doing 4 journal article summaries. We'll be starting those very soon in week 2. We'll go over that in class. And so by coming into class, the second class meeting of week 1, August 22nd, if you come to class that day, you'll be ahead of the game for doing your first journal article summary. Coming to class will help prep you for whatever's coming up next. And in fact, my goal this semester is that we'll dedicate class time for working on assignments in class. And the great thing about that is that you get a chance to ask me live and in person as opposed to being confused at home or in your dorm room or at your apartment. And so again, I'm trying to build these opportunities where to lure you to class and so you'll want to come to class. The note card method is a technique, again, that I will teach you. You might have actually used it in high school, perhaps, about how to write a very specific type of scientific writing for your introduction section. Again, we'll use class time for writing. You'll make 2 very brief in-class presentations this semester that will total, now get this, total 4 minutes. You'll make a 2-minute presentation early in the semester. You'll make a 2-minute presentation late in the semester. We'll collect a little bit of data about ourselves. It'll just be private. We'll use it for a data set that we practice in SPSS. You'll do it on Qualtrics. It'll be a pass-fail thing. You'll get a few points for that. We will do actual real data collection from the Psych 101 Survey of Psychological Science course. We used to call that General Psychology. We've changed the name of that course. So you'll get some points for that data collection, creating some survey items. You'll do 6 different homework assignments. You probably practice these in your Psych 295 course. We'll revisit some of those concepts that you learned about in Psych 295 in our Psych 321 Research Methods course. You won't be doing those by hand like you probably did in that STAT course. You'll be doing those using SPSS. That's a computer program that's made available to you free on our campus. And so I will walk you through that every step of the way. And when I walk you through it in class and you leave the classroom and you forget about that, don't worry. I've got YouTube videos that remind you how to do each and every one of those assignments. Every weekend, over a 72-hour period, I'm going to ask you a very brief question that I call a weekend reflection. These are going to be things that you can answer off the top of your head. You won't have to look anything up. They're usually going to be reflective either about the course or the major. This is just to kind of keep you thinking about things and give you a little bit of writing practice. There's really good research that tells us that a person gets proficient in writing with the more practice that they get. And so that's really the reason for it. And plus, when you hear about the kind of research that I do, by the way, this isn't research on you, but I do research about career paths and college student success after college. And so I hope to help shape some of your thinking about what those next steps are by asking you about career goals in a supportive type of way to help you reflect about that. Really, the signature event or assignment in this class is an APA manuscript. So you're going to leave with a product. You are going to design a survey study. You're going to collect data. You're going to write an APA style paper from front to back. You're going to have a title page, an abstract, an introduction results, introduction method results discussion. You're going to have a reference section. You're going to have a table. And what I love about this is that rather than take a bunch of tests and get good scores, and that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that, so to speak, I love that students leave this class with a product. It's a writing sample that you might use for a job interview or a grad school application. Each one of those sections that I just mentioned, you're going to write a draft of, you're going to get graded feedback, and then you're going to rewrite that draft for a final paper. And so that really is the signature assignment, what we're going to be aiming for the entire course. We will meet during the final exam period. I've got that in a calendar coming up here. Please don't book a flight home. Please don't make a plan. Please be sure to make sure that you're going to be here for the final exam. During that final exam period, it's going to be that 2-minute presentation as well as a couple other things. If you do not participate during the final exam period, that will cost you a letter grade in this course. And so you want to pay attention to those details and make sure that you're here for that. Just a couple more notes about handing in assignments. We'll go over the calendar. I'll show you some more details. Then we'll switch over to the Blackboard site. On handing in assignments, 35 students enrolled in the class right now. By the way, not that this really matters to you, but I have another section of research methods. Sometimes I download assignments in bulk and then load them back up. It's really important that you label your file names, and you're going to find out when we meet and when we start working together, and it really is a team effort, we really will be working together, then I am anal retentive. And so rather than turn in your results section and label your Word file results, I'm going to need you to use an example like I've got here at the top of the screen, PSYC 321-002, results section, Jamie Smith. Because if 35 people turn in a results section and they label their file results, when I go to upload it back to Blackboard and give you your file back, you can imagine now I've got to open up 35 files and it's going to take me much longer. And I would like to get your feedback as quick as possible. So I'm going to need you to do me this favor. And actually, on every assignment that you upload to Blackboard in my course, it's going to have the name, the course number with the section number, 1 or 2 words about what the assignment is, and then your first name and last name. And by the way, I've got a note there. You don't have to add DOC or DOCX. Microsoft Word will do that. And by the way, please do note what I've got underlined here. See, I'll try to find my, oh, look, my mouse isn't here. I'll find my mouse. There it is. I'll find my little pointer here. Other file formats will not be opened or graded. So please don't use OpenOffice. Please don't do a Google Doc. Or if you're going to use a Google Doc, make absolutely sure that's openable. Please don't use Mac Pages. All right. Because if I can't open your work, then I can't grade your work. So the vast majority of the Western world uses Microsoft Word, so please do that. By the way, it's free on campus and lab computers, and I believe Boise State University policy is that students can download it, a Mac version or a Windows version on a laptop. So you can get it for free conveniently, or you can be in the lab. All right, grading policy and grading scale. And of course, this is something that's really important to all of us. You're always welcome to ask me questions for more clarification if you need to. I add them up all during the semester. Your grades are based on the total points accumulated. There is a penalty for a late. I can talk to you about why that is if you want me to. There's really good data about how late work in the workplace puts your job at jeopardy. So we practice that here in the classroom so that you won't do that when you are into the workforce. It's 25% off if it's late. After 72 hours late, you can't turn it in at all. And that's actually true on Blackboard. So when something is due, a link will appear. 72 hours later, actually the upload link will disappear. The assignment actually goes away. And so because it's noon and sometimes systems are funky, actually, technically speaking, on Blackboard, the due date will be, rather than have it be noon, it's going to be 12:01 p.m. If it's, there's a couple of times during the semester you're going to hand something in on paper. That's just going to be due at the very beginning of class at noon, so be on time those days. So if you show up and I've already collected everything, that means that's going to be late. All right. I've already mentioned 72 hours, the original due date. And that 72 hours does include weekends and holidays. If it's if it's after 72 hours, it can't even be turned in. The grade's going to be 0. I'm going to talk a little bit about cheating and academic dishonesty later. Obviously, it's not going to be tolerated. It's dealt with severely. I do follow university policies on that matter. No work is accepted after the semester. Incomplete is not an option. I do not use the plus-minus grade system typically. That is to your detriment. I can explain why if you ask me about it. And grades are earned in the following areas. It's a straight 90, 80, 70, 60. You can see that we add them all up. It's a 1,000-point course. Here is a summary on page 6 of how you earn those 1,000 points. You can see the poll everywhere, the ethics training, the 4 journal article summaries, the note card method that all rolls up into that introduction section, the self-analysis data, that's that Qualtrics that we're going to analyze for our SPSS. You're going to make those 2 2-minute presentations in class. You're going to do the 6 statistics homework assignments. We're going to collect some data from the Psych 101 students. You're going to do those weekend reflections. You're going to get pass-fail points for those. And then that signature assignment is that APA manuscript. And those are all the remaining sections other than the introduction, because you got credit for that right here. Rough draft of introduction. So that's the intro there. Then everything else you get credit for down in this manuscript section. And it all totals 1,000. All right. Academic dishonesty. I really encourage you to work together. There's no problem with that. But the work that you turn into me should be your own work. And it's really natural, especially when we get to the section on SPSS, you go over to the lab and you're going to do t-tests. And in theory, if you're all doing the t-test homework correctly, you should all get the exact same answer to problem number 3. But here's what I need you to do. I need you to each do problem number 3 yourself, and then double check with each other. And if one of you gets it, if you're not matching answers, it's okay for each of you to keep doing it until you match. That's just fine. That's not cheating. You're each doing your own work, and checking with each other, that's not cheating either. The cheating part would come in, and I'm not saying you would do this, but the cheating part would come in if that one of you does it and you make a Xerox copy and you hand it to the other person. Obviously, that's cheating. All right. And so as long as you're each doing your own work and double checking answers, that's fine. Okay. And so just be sure that you're doing your own work. But collaboration like that, proofreading each other's work, doing peer editing, that's awesome. I think a lot of times what I've seen for success in this course, teaching it many times in the past, is that students will band together. So if you don't have a class after this one on Mondays or Wednesdays, students will go straight to the lab and they'll work on their introduction section, or they'll work on their survey items, or they'll work on their correlation homework. Or they'll have a study group that after another class that they happen to be in together, they kind of band together. And if you're the type of student who works well in groups, I highly recommend that for this class because I've seen it work really well. So anyway, food for thought. Just a couple last notes. Students' responsibilities. You're responsible for all of your assignments regardless if you attend class or not. Always keep a backup file of all assignments and materials for this course. Electronics are wonky, the internet is wonky, Blackboard goes down sometimes. Just make sure that you keep a backup. Don't ever have just one copy and submit that one copy. Like I just said above, I do encourage you to collaborate with fellow students when it's appropriate in this course. Due to the nature and workload of this 300 level course, however, there is no makeup work. There there is rarely extra credit and there are no excused absences. If at some point you do need special considerations, however, please discuss it privately with me as soon as you can. Let me know. All right, here's where we get to the legal part of this. Any student who encounters any problem with any aspect of this course should not hesitate to talk with me as soon as possible. If you disagree with the policies described in your syllabus, you should drop the course. To remain in the course is to accept the policies as stated herein and those stated throughout the semester by the instructor. So you have your lawyer call my lawyer, and if we're all good to go, we're good to go. And of course, the caveat, the warning, the disclaimer, things happen as the semester progresses, and I do reserve the right to make changes to the syllabus if I need to. I will let you know either through your official email account or your Blackboard announcement. And by the way, I will only contact you through your official Boise State email. I guess that's a good thing to be able to say right now. And so I would be careful. So I have had students in the past who want to auto forward their Boise State email to some other email, which I get, I understand that, but sometimes that auto forwarding isn't perfect, especially with attachments. And so I would get in the habit, I would recommend that you try to use your Boise State email account, or just make sure that it's perfectly reliable, because that's the one that I will communicate with you through. That's because I know that one is reliable through Boise State. All right. So page 8 is pretty critical, and so it's got week by week what your reading assignment is and what I would like you to watch on YouTube. And so you've got all the links right there. If you would like a shortcut to that, there's actually a playlist on YouTube. If you go to my channel, I got a YouTube channel. I can talk to you about that. And so for week 1, I'd like you to read chapters 1 and 2. I'd like you to watch a couple of videos, and so you can see the dates, the chapters, and you can see the links there in the last column for the YouTube assignments. Some weeks there's no reading, some weeks there's 2 chapters, and you can see it towards the end of the semester you'll have a bunch of weeks where you're going to be working on your paper, analyzing data so much that there's not many more chapters to read, and so it kind of all evens out in the wash. All right, so that is the course calendar. I think a lot of students end up actually printing that page because that's kind of a handy thing to have available. I think this one is definitely one worth printing, or at least having easy access to. This is the assignment calendar and the worksheet. And so every due date for the semester is here. And so I know a lot of you have jobs. And so this is the kind of thing that if you have an employer who's maybe not overly friendly about your Boise State commitments, is that you can show him or her, the 3rd week in August, here are my commitments. And so, I've got big paper assignments, with these due dates. Can you kind of lighten up a couple days before? And so at the very least, what those big dates are so that you can try to maybe plan ahead in your life. Give yourself a couple days before, for example, September 26th, when your introduction section is due. That's 100 points in a 1,000-point course. That's 10%. That's a letter grade. For example, this final draft that's due on Monday, December 10th, that's 200 points. So that's 2 letter grades. And so you might want to, have a couple days, the Saturday and Sunday before December 10th, you might want to have some time to really polish and make that shine, because you're working on an assignment that's worth 2 letter grades. So anyway, and we can come back and talk about this in person anytime you want to, but this is the tentative calendar, and you can see that I've got up here, you can see subject to change. And I will tell you, just to be fair about it, whenever I've changed this, I can't think of a single instance where I've ever changed a deadline up. I have never made a deadline sooner. It's always I've had to move it back for this or that, or either I've gotten behind in the course, or I've had to travel, or something like that. And so we figure it out together. That's the way it happens. All right, I'm not going to go through really the rest of this, but today, obviously during this screencast, but these are going to be the instructions that we go through from time to time during the semester about writing each of the sections of a manuscript. So here you're going to see, starting on page 10, the title page, abstract, the body, and this goes on and on. And again, I'm just going to scroll through it really quickly. Then we're going to flip over to Blackboard. There is one page here at the bottom of this file, of this PDF, the researcher signature page. So when we get to the ethics portion and you're doing the city programming, there's going to be another document that you're going to need to read. And when you're done with the city program, as you can see here in the middle of the screen, and when you've read that other document about the subject pool committee, you're going to come back. You're going to actually have to print this last page, print it, sign it, date it. And that's actually going to be one of those rare days where you're turning paper in during class. So this is an approximation of what your Blackboard site is going to look like. Now, it's not an exact approximation because first off, it hasn't gone live. And secondly, this is a little bit of the instructor view. But I just wanted to give you a quick tour. It's pretty simple. You can see it's not very sophisticated at all, but I think once it's up and running, it'll do the trick. You're always going to land on the announcements page. You can kind of see pretty close to what the announcement's going to look like. It's going to change a little bit, but not too much. You're going to land on that. All of your assignments are going to be linked here under the assignments link. If you click on that, there's actually going to be a couple of them that are there. And so you can see the project idea is due August 22nd. By the way, if you come to class on Monday the 20th, we're going to talk about that. In fact, you should have, if I've done this right, you will do the work in class on the 20th to be able to leave, go to Blackboard and do and you'll be done with the homework essentially by the time you leave class. All you got to do is go and upload it. That's all you have to do. If you come on Wednesday the 22nd, hopefully you'll know exactly what you've got to do for the 27th. That's the kind of thing I want to try to do in class. Really want to use our class time efficiently. And again, I'll talk more about this when I see you next week. All right, and so now you can only see a couple of assignments. I'm not going to throw them at you all at the same time, and so they will appear when necessary, and when they're done, they'll disappear. So hopefully the roster won't be long and overwhelming. So you got announcements, you got assignments. Resources will tend to stay there all semester long. So for example, you see the syllabus link, and so if you click on that, you'll see the document that we just looked at for half an hour. I mentioned those short instructional videos. Those will all link to my YouTube page, and you can find that. In addition to APA formatting videos, I also have SPSS tutorials. I've actually even got a place for student recommended videos. I've got a link if you want to just subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And by the way, there's no ads, or it's not monetized. I did it all for free. I give it all away for free. How to read a journal article, another thing about writing empirical manuscripts, guidelines for the subject pool. That's a document you're going to need for one of your assignments. And I'll be adding to this all semester long. Weekend reflections. And so right now, there shouldn't be anything there. That will only appear on the weekend. That is on Friday the 24th, August 24th, something will appear there. And after the 26th on Sunday night, when it turns into Monday morning at midnight, 12:01 a.m. actually, it'll disappear. Okay, so it appears when it's live and then disappears when the time is over. All right, so there'll be a prompt there. You just do it right there. It won't be something you have to go and look up. It's going to be your opinion about something, your opinion about the course. It's just to kind of keep you connected and keep you reflecting about the major and the course. And finally, this last one is going to be lecture and YouTube videos. When I'm done recording this video, that link is going to go right there. That'll be filled in the next time you get a chance to look at this particular tab in Blackboard. And then finally, you'll have your grades that you'll be able to click on and see there. So anyway, that is, I'm sorry, a bit of a long-winded tour. That's going to be about 35 minutes long. But the beauty of this approach, what I like about it, is that that's 35 minutes that I'll use in class to talk to you directly rather than have you sitting and listening to me talk about it. And so that's kind of this flipped classroom idea where the stuff that you can sit passively listen to, we do outside of class, and we actively work together on stuff, and we're more engaged and together on things during our actual class time. So I hope that you can tell I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week on Monday. And again, if you don't get a chance to listen to this, that's okay. I'll see you eventually. And welcome to Research Methods.